Quinn Hughes is set to make Vancouver Canucks history, and some of the records he will break are insane. And Nikita Zadorov speaks out on the Vancouver Canucks, including speaking on how certain players were not used right. We'll get into this later on this episode. Before I start, I just want to give a huge shout out to the 3,608 of you. We're trying to reach 4,000 by Sunday, so if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to go down and hit that subscribe button. We'll be all off season into next season, giving you updates from around the Canucks. Well, with that, let's hop straight into the first topic today, which is Quinn Hughes set to make history. Now, before we get into Quinn Hughes, I just want to talk about the stats. When you're looking at Quinn Hughes, this is a guy that just came off a career year with the Vancouver Canucks, playing all 82 games, scoring a career high in goals with 17, a career high in assists with 75, for once again a career high of 92 points in 82 games. We've seen Quinn Hughes go on to win the Vezina, lead the Vancouver Canucks to the division title, and into the second round where they lost in Game 7. But when you really look at Quinn Hughes, this guy has been phenomenal ever since he got to the Canucks. You can see the seasons of just going 53 points, 41, 68, 76. This guy has been an absolute stud for the team, and he's going to set records. Now, the first record I wanted to touch on was all-time leader in points by a defenseman. We can see Alex Edler sitting at number one, 925 games played, 99 goals, 310 assists for 409 points. Quinn Hughes coming in directly behind him in 365 games, so almost 600 less. He is just 76 points away. With Quinn Hughes playing, with the stats he's been putting up, if he had something he had 2 years ago of the 76 points, if he continues his dominance and puts up 100 points, he is going to break this record with only being 76 points away. Now, the biggest thing, and what's insane about this as well, when you're looking at the total games played, you're working your way down, and it goes 925 games, 365 for Quinn Hughes, 707, 579. All of these guys have played over 500 games, minus Ed Jovakovsky and Rick Lands. But other than these two, at number 10 and 9, Quinn Hughes has the lowest amount of games played, and he's just 76 points away from breaking the record. You can see his plus minus is near the top out of all Canucks defensemen as well. This guy has been the franchise defenseman, and not only the franchise defenseman to build around right now, this is the best defenseman that has been with the Canucks when you're looking at total points. As I said, if he just has a season like he did in 2022, 2023, he is going to make history for the Canucks. But it doesn't stop there. We're going to see Quinn Hughes jump up the ladder on total points by any Vancouver Canucks player as well. Currently, Quinn Hughes is sitting down at number 23 with once again 333 points. You can see the active players on this list. Brock Boeser is sitting there with 384. JT Miller sitting at 14, 401. Elias Pettersson at 11 with 412. If Quinn Hughes puts up an 87-point season, which once again is less than he just put up this season, we're going to see him slide nearly into the top 10. Obviously, guys like Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, and Brock Boeser will end up sliding into the top 10 maybe just before Quinn or around the same time. So these guys will move up the list as well. But Quinn Hughes is going to jump within the next 2 seasons into the top 10 and onward. We're seeing this Canucks team, the team we're watching right now, the team we're going to start to love even more, starting to set records for this team. Obviously, you have Henrik and Daniel Sedin sitting at the very top, but it would not shock me if one of these players of Elias Pettersson, JT Miller, Brock Boeser, or Quinn Hughes makes it into the top 5 by the end of their career. Quinn doing this as a defenseman with no other defenseman other than Alex Edler sitting above him is quite amazing. Seeing Quinn's history, what he's been doing with the Canucks is just outstanding. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on Quinn Hughes making history as early as next season? Let me know down in the comments, and where do you think he finishes on the top scoring list all time for the Canucks by the end of his career? But with that, let's hop straight into the second topic today, which is Zadorov speaks out on the Canucks. Now, we did get a quote from Nikita Zadorov speaking on Lindholm's fit when he played on Vancouver. It's a new opportunity for him. He got traded to Vancouver. He kind of didn't play the role he fits, I feel. So I feel here he can come back to his version where he was in Calgary with top line, top penalty kill, and top everything. Now, a lot of people are saying that this feels like Nikita Zadorov is kind of shooting shade at that Vancouver Canucks, and it kind of feels like he's saying he wasn't utilized, he wasn't used in the right way. But with how he played when he first was traded there to how he played in the playoffs when he started getting those top line minutes, there was a huge difference. Now, looking at the trade itself that Vancouver traded to get Lindholm was Kuzmenko, a first, a conditional fourth, and then you had Hunter and another prospect in Yermo. Having all these guys traded for a guy that isn't a part of the Canucks organization right now does kind of sting a bit. Yes, having a guy like Kuzmenko would be nice to have that play or scoring winger. Maybe you wouldn't have to go out and get a guy like Jake DeBrusk, where I do think Jake DeBrusk is the better fit, and I think he does fit better on this team. But having a guy like Kuzmenko would have been great to maybe have on the third line to fill in the gaps of scoring within this team. Then you had Hunter, who was a prospect that was the top prospect in the trade going over. Obviously, the first round pick in this past draft, and a conditional fourth round, which the Canucks obviously didn't have to use this entire draft. Now, when you're looking at this, yes, obviously, Canucks fans aren't going to be happy that they traded all this to lose in the second round. But in hindsight, this was a good trade. This was a win now trade. The Canucks wanted to push. They wanted to kind of give their players an extra player coming from another team to help them make that push. But when you truly look at these Canucks lines going into next season, I think they are a lot better. Now, just analyzing the forward group, obviously the guys with the jerseys without the numbers are the newly acquired. Denton Hyman coming in on the top line. Now, this is from Daily Faceoff. This is not my projections, but Denton Hyman, a guy coming in from Boston, a guy that's going to be able to play on your penalty kill, maybe on your second power play unit. He's going to add speed, physicality. He's going to add a bit of everything to this Canucks team, and I think he is an upgrade on Pius Suter on this top line. Now, you have a guy like Jake DeBrusk coming in that I think is an awesome fit for this team. I think Jake DeBrusk is going to come in and score 30 goals for the Canucks. Yes, Lindholm being on the second line would have been nice, but having him at center does get a little rough with how the Canucks team's looking. JT Miller, Pettersson, Bluger, all the way down to Pius Suter, who was on the first line last season. Having these as center depth, you can't really fit Lindholm into his natural position. Kiefer Sherwood coming in, I think, is going to be a Dakota Joshua Jr. coming in, putting up points, throwing physicality. I think this guy is going to be an awesome fit, and I think a lot of people are going to be shocked on how he plays. Now, obviously, speaking on Zadorov, speaking on Lindholm, looking at the defense, I think the Canucks once again did upgrade. If you're looking at the top four of Hughes, Hronek, who Hughes is going to set a record with Hronek, Soucy and Myers, bringing in Forbort, bringing in Desharnais, you do upgrade the third pairing. Obviously, this had Nikita Zadorov on it, this had Ian Cole on it, but overall, you bring in more depth, you have more depth on defense. Having this team the way it is right now, I think the Canucks are in a better position than they were, especially going into the start of last season when they didn't have Zadorov or Lindholm. Obviously, losing assets for two players that aren't with the organization isn't ideal, but this is a team that wants to win. We're going to see more trades like this going into next season, especially if they come off to a hot start. But what's your guys' thoughts on this? What's your thoughts on what Zadorov said? Do you think he was throwing shade at the Canucks or just kind of speaking on Lindholm and hyping him up for Bruins fans? Let me know down in the comments. But speaking on comments, we'll get in everyone's favorite topic, which is comments of the day. The comment today comes from Nobody. He said, it seems like Allvin is staying away from overpaying for marginal players. Too bad Benning didn't do this 10 years ago, and I couldn't agree anymore. I mean, if this was Jim Benning, we might have seen Desharnais get signed by a 7x7 for this Canucks team. But what's your guys' thoughts on everything I talked about? What's your thoughts on Quinn Hughes? Where do you think he finishes on the all-time scoring record by the end of his career? And what's your thoughts on Zadorov's comments? Are you still kind of mad he left, or are you kind of happy with what we have right now? But while you're down there leaving a comment, make sure to leave a comment because you could be featured on the next comment of the day like Nobody did today. While you're down there, leave a like, share this with your friends, subscribe. We're trying to reach 4,000 or 4,000 by next Sunday. So make sure to go down and hit the subscribe button. But I've been your host, Mark Pye, and take care.